Okay, so here is what I found about tang-geun, carrot. Your question led me down a curious little investigation. So let's start with the basics here. We have tang-geun, right? And then your theory is that this is sweet, and then this is root. Okay, so let's kind of look into that a little bit. So I'm going to talk you through a little bit of how I thought about it. It's a little bit like what you said, but not quite. So so here is the Chinese for carrot, right? So it's outright the hanja, and then the 한국어 발음 for it. And then I'm glad that man, Korean. It's nice to have an alphabet. This is also the traditional, and then Koreans haven't simplified the Chinese writing, so just everything is like super complicated. So that could be also a reason why Korean people don't use hanja as much, because Japanese people at least simplified some. So this is called in Mandarin hu luobo, and then in Hangul it is ho na bo or ra bo. So this means carrot. So both mean carrot. So what's interesting is that in Chinese, you have this thing that they do to indicate that something is foreign. Korean has this too, like yang pa, right? It's like a Western pa, or I think they also do yangju, right? Western alcohol. And so let's do this. So the yang is the ocean, which means the sort of Western. And so what you notice right away is that in Chinese, you add this hu, which is another indicator. It means beard. So Chinese people apparently didn't have the kind of beards that Northerners or Westerners had. So in the idea that like China, back then, this is Korea. So China was kind of like right over here where there's the two rivers, and then everything into the north or to the west were considered the barbarians. And there was a couple ways that they denoted that, and one was this word hu, which means beard. So there's actually quite a lot of words that use hu to mean foreign. So you see right away that in Chinese, the hu luobo means that it's a foreign luobo. And so in Chinese, the nabo is more closely related to the Korean mu, right? Radish. From like tukgi, you have the mu. It's like white and smaller, and it's a little bit smaller than daikon, which actually means. So this is, I think this is tang-geun, which means big root. So here is the hanjiao for kun, which means root. Right. So so what we're looking at is there's something foreign about this carrot. So I looked it up on Wikipedia. It's the most authoritative source in the universe. But apparently carrots didn't go to China until the 14th century, and then Japan until the 18th century. So this shows that relatively at that time that it's a new item. So that if of course that they would kind of call it something different from not Chinese. So what's interesting is if you look at so let's just do here another one. So if we look at tang-geun, and I looked in the dictionary, and then like some of the synonyms for it, you have something like this, ho na bo, which I mentioned is like the foreign radish, and then you have also hong, which means red, like hong sam for the red ginseng. So you also have hong nam na bo. But what I found interesting is that there's also something called hong tang mu, which is a synonym that equals tang-geun. So what you notice is that this tang here is the same. So I looked up hong tang-geun, and here is how it's written in the Hanja. Hong means red, and then you have this tang, and then you have mu. Right. So here, right, is tang, but does not equal sweet. Right. So sweet is also tang, or with a tiet tang, has a rice radical right here. So what you'll notice is that this part right here gives the semantic meaning, and then this part gives the pronunciation. So here is the semantic meaning, and here is the phonetic. So it's borrowing the tang. So this is pronounced tang. And here means something that is derived from rice, something sweet from grains. So originally that's something sweet that is processed from grains. That means sweet, and then later it became sugar. So what you notice then, what we have in here is that it's not sweet, right? But rather Tang is for the Tang dynasty. So this means China. So my theory is that the Tang in tang-geun equals Chinese. And then the question about geun, right? So what about geun? Right. I looked up another word in the Naver dictionary. I looked up mu, and it gave different other things, other things that's related to it. And there's this thing called tang-geun. It's like a rutabaga, maybe rutabaga. This is the technical name in the dictionary. Raphanus sativus, and then the Chinese is cheng for green. And then guess what? Geun is for root. So this is an example of a similar vegetable using geun. So this for me kind of confirms that geun is means root, right? So this means root. So so this is another example in which the geun is used as root, among the other ones like the lotus root you mentioned. So I think there's pretty good case that this geun is used for root in tang-geun. So lastly, I think the idea then, tang-geun, is I think this is the Hanja for it. And so if it was the 14th century, so this is, I think the Tang ended in the 9th century maybe. Tang ended in the 9th century. But then, Tang is still used because it was like kind of the cultural height, and may has still been used to refer to China. And it was at a period of time where, Tang had a significant influence in the unification of the Korean Peninsula with the Shilla dynasty. So it's significant in that way. So it's very possible that during the 14th century, when they were importing carrots, maybe, or they got carrots, right? Koreans maybe got carrots from China. from China. So they called it Chinese root. Or they had different names for it too, like the Honaba Mokbok, right, or the Hongnabok, right. And so what's interesting is that, or even this, right? What was it? The Hong Tangmu, right? Which I think is probably the strongest case for the etymology of this word. Is I think let me just do this last thing here, right? So you have a native plant, right? Which is the mu, right? And the Chinese version is nabok, right? So that you have the Korean, and then you have the Chinese, right? And then you have new thing comes. New plant comes, right? So then we need a name, right? So then, right, you can modify what the existing is. So you can do ho, right, or hong, right, nabok. So this is all hanjiao, right? This is right, adding this one. So this is red because it's like orangey red, right? Or it's like a foreign one, right? So they just this one would be like a Chinese version of the name, right? And then they're like, well, what about a Korean version, right? So then you have something like this, where you have Hong Tangmu, right? Where then Tang, right, is Chinese, means Chinese, right? So this is this is viewed from Korea, and this is the Chinese version is viewed from Chinese perspective. Right. And so, and then what you'll notice is that all of these are 3 syllables. So if you were to even simplify it more, right, then you probably would get something like tang-geun, right? Because then this tang shows the origin, and then gun is a hanjao, but then it's like it's a little bit more descriptive, and it's different than mu, right? So that's my theory on what the etymology of tang-geun is. So yeah, maybe I'll draw another picture. This is more so for myself. Okay, so you have this thing, right? I'm like thinking out loud as I do this. So let me get like this orange thing here. So you have a carrot, right? Carrot. This is my art skills. And so, and then you have, let's try to draw. Let's draw China. This is oh gosh, and then this is Korea. Right, okay. So then this tang-geun comes to China, and it's viewed as foreign, right? So it's pronounced ho, right? Hu for foreign. And then it goes from China to Korea, and it's seen as also foreign, but a different kind of foreign, right? It's tang, right? Foreign, but it's Chinese, right? This is foreign, not Chinese, right? So So for Korean, it's like double foreign. And so then the Chinese word here would be, right, then it would be ho nabok, right? And then the Korean version viewing this, if it's tang, then it would be hong tangmu, right? And then this probably got switched then to tang-geun. Maybe because of like tangmu maybe sounded like something else, or maybe whatever else this became the settled form for carrot. For equals carrot. All right. So that's what I got for you. I hope this makes sense. And it's like a little fun history journey through language.